I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. This is the Win Meta DX Riser, one of the most expensive recurve risers on the market. It's full carbon with these shock absorbers to absorb shock built into the riser, 3 of them. So, with carbon, people think light. No, this is not light. This is the same weight as all the other risers. This is just carbon. It's meant to be fancy. It's meant to absorb more shock than a metal riser, and it's meant to be more rigid than a metal riser. Now, this is interesting for me because I'm currently shooting a Fivix riser. I've been shooting that same riser for 5 years. And Fivix use a metal which is a little bit softer, so basically it's meant to absorb more shock. So this way we've gone for a more rigid riser which absorbs more shock. So I'm like, this is quite expensive, so I was like, let's set it up. So I've set it up with my normal Fivix limbs. These are weighted at 48 pounds. They're 46 pound limbs at 68 inches. I've just put on my target stabilizers. These are scatties and my full target setup. It's got a Shibuya rest, a biter plunger button, and a clicker. Fitted my normal string to the bow. So my question to myself and for doing this video is, what's the Win like compared to the Fivix and compared to the other bows and compared to the ATF DX? Now, I'm going to say most people don't shoot the Meta. It's just not a very popular bow. Now, world people do shoot this bow, but most shoot the ATFX Deluxe riser. Whether it's because the ATFX Deluxe comes in twin color, I don't know. But this is the bow, and I was like, well, let's do a review and let's talk about it and see how it sort of sits and see what it's like. Okay, so let's just talk about this bow. This is where you adjust the limbs left to right on these little screws. These are locking screws. So you've got to take this screw out and you've got to take it out from the other side, and then it's a push-pull screw system, all right, to move it. So it's a little Allen key to move the limb pocket. I don't normally stuff around with stuff. I just normally go shoot. Now, I brought this riser secondhand. It's one reason why I'm doing the review. The customer had moved the limbs as far as he could to the left, and I'm like, I just want to say I don't want to let you touch bows again. Just go shoot the bows. The number of times I see people stuff around with their gear, and I mention this on purpose, it's like, why are you stuffing around with gear? Like, have you tuned it? Why are you doing this? Are you good enough to stuff around with your gear? Because how it comes out of the factory is pretty good. Like, don't stuff around with gear. I don't stuff around with stuff. People go, oh, what's your tiller? Is it positive, negative? I don't even know my tiller. I don't even know my brace height. Okay? So what I find is people worry about everything without worrying about yourself. Worry about yourself and your shooting your form. Now, if you're an Australian champion and you're one of the best archers in Australia, which means you can shoot as well as a compound shooter, absolutely stuff around with whatever you want, okay? Because you're trying to buy yourself a couple of points. But when you're a pretty average shooter, just leave it as is because it's going to be you, right? So anyway, so I set the limbs back into the middle. I weighed the bow. Weighs about the same as my Argon X. Fitted the stabilizer, ready to go. Oh, the limbs where they clip in is like the Fivix Scatties and the new Fivix risers, the NXs. It's a nice bracket system where they go in, so it's a little bit curved. So that means there's going to be no sharp edges for the limbs to sit on because it's curved. That's a good thing. So I like that. The grip, let's just discuss the grip. The grip I find on Wins is different on every single bow, and then I always used to shoot Wins, and I've owned two carbon Win bows, and they were both beautiful. I owned the Wiawis multicolor bow, which is beautiful, and they have all matching stabilizers, and I've owned the TRG, which was a beautiful bow, carbon finished, And I kind of regret selling them both now, right? So, because they were so beautiful. I wish I just put them on the wall and put them up as bits of artwork because they were beautiful. They shot well. And I've been shooting Fivics for 5 years since, and it came up on Facebook, and I was like, I really need to try a win and win. So here I am. Right, so the thing which got me first when I switched to Fivics from win and win was the grip. The grips were very different on Fivics, and I shot better. I came out, I did the review, and I shot a score, and I shot better than I'd ever shot before, and I haven't reviewed a win and win since. And it's not because I haven't wanted to. It's just because I'm shooting well and I'm happy with the bow. They've been bulletproof. The limbs have been bulletproof, and it's like it's all good. So let's just try this out. And I will say I've got a sore wrist. I don't know how I hurt it. And if I angle my wrist like that, it hurts. Like that's good. That's good. And sometimes when I'm drawing, it really hurts. It's just in the lower part, just there. Just there. I don't know if I strained it or what, but I don't know how I did it either. But it's improving. I shot a couple of arrows last night, but I haven't been able to shoot for about 4 days. So. Right. This is really hurting. Right, so the draw cycle feels smooth. Now that's an indication of the limbs, but basically it feels easier than the Argon X. And it's obviously not, but I've been shooting an Argon X with heavier limbs, so this feels quite light, although my wrist does hurt a lot. The grip, I'm very comfortable with the grip. The grip feels like the Fivics, so maybe a bit narrower in the throat than the Fivics wood grip, but probably similar to the Fivics plastic grip that's now standard on all the bows. The bow is extremely quiet. There's no... Oh, this is a bare shaft, so this will be interesting. And I'll just jump behind a little bit. And I don't know how my alignment is because this really hurts my arm, so I'm just trying to pull it back. I haven't tuned this bow. This is it. The arrow's out to the left. Look, it doesn't mean anything. I've just bolted the arrow rest on, put it so that it's in the right. The arrow's in the right position on the arrow rest as far as left and right and centered through the plunger. You can adjust it left and right later, but let's just see how it tunes. Well, that's good. They hit each other, so that's excellent. One of the beginners today said, person buying a new bow said, about tuning, and I was like, just learn to shoot first. Worry about tuning later. But that's good. Like, these are the arrows I'm shooting, obviously stuck together. These are Pandera CA320s. I like an X10. That one's got Jet 6 vanes, and these are the Pandera spin wings. That one's got two instead of three. Just because one fell off, I would have shot it off. These are like a barrel-shaped shaft. That's 500 spine, tungsten points at the front, gold ones. Someone said gold's faster. I call BS, but right. Okay, the arrow that fell out of my quiver. I'm going to say the carbon risers I shot before, I really couldn't pick the difference between vibration in the carbon riser and the metal riser. This feels deader in the hand than the metal riser. Feels less vibration than the metal riser. Like it. It's very, very nice to shoot. Now, this could be because you got these dampeners. You know, like Matthews have got dampeners. These dampeners make a big difference. Now, not in the way you shoot. So if you're an Olympic archer and you're a fantastic archer, the dampeners are not going to make you shoot better. I wish they would, but they're not. And this is just my take on it. What it's going to do is going to reduce the vibration, and things are going to vibrate loose less. So when you shoot recurve, you get lots of things coming loose, like the stabilizers will come loose, the plunger button will come loose. You get stuff coming loose. Those dampeners, the rubbers, are going to absorb some of that. So the vibration is going to be less, so just less issues. If your body gets sore through vibration, some people get sore tennis elbow, you get less of that. Just feels more pleasant to shoot. Saying that, the ATF-X Metal Riser, which is basically this in a metal versus a carbon, now comes with dampeners. So the same sort of stuff to absorb the shock. So I'm going to suggest that and this is going to feel pretty much the same. But this feels amazing. It feels great. It feels... I'm going to say it feels like a 30-pound bow. I don't know if it's because it's quieter or there's less vibration. It just... Like with the Argon, it's a really nice bow. I've had it for 5 years. I'm very happy with it. Substantially lesser price than this. So the Argon, I thought it was 900, but now it's 1,050. That could be because the Australian dollar's crashing away. It's picked up in the last couple of days. This is 1,500, so almost 50% more. It just, I really like this bow. So when I really like a bow, what I do is I'll shoot this bow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this bow for a week. I'm going to record scores for a week. I'm going to shoot my old bow, the Vivix bow, for a week. And sort of compare it and go, which one do I like more? Now, the Meta DX, this is the black. What I used to really like about the old Win and Win bows is their carbon bows. They used to show the carbon finish, and it looked like glass on the outside. It was crystal clear, and you could see the carbon through it, and it looked really deep. This is just painted black. Like, it still looks, I think it looks nice. My son has question marks, but I'm okay with that. Feels really, really nice to shoot. Right, now the other last week, I was testing, a few weeks ago, I was testing the Scatty Riser versus the Argon X to see if I want to change over to the Scatty. Now, I shot that riser for a week, and on no occasion did the Argon X shoot a higher score than the Scatty. However, on I think it was 3 or 4 occasions, the Scatty shot higher, 1 or 2 points higher than the Argon X, which is not much out of 300 points, but it's still saying the Argon X, I didn't shoot a higher score. Now, I have shot higher scores with the Argon X after that event, but I think I've actually just improved my archery, which is one reason I didn't upgrade to the Scatty, although I'm still considering it. I think the grip is better than the Argon X grip, because it's got a plastic grip, which my hand, I felt more consistent. Look, I'll just shoot one more. Right, so Win and Win. Win and Win have got some nice limbs on the market. I really like Win and Win limbs, and I'm not just wearing a Win and Win t-shirt to say I'm swapping to Win and Win. They are more expensive than the Fivix limbs. I'm going to say probably not as expensive as a Hoyt limb. I don't know. They're definitely nicer finished. They're a beautifully finished limb, and I loved shooting Win and Win limbs because they just looked amazing. They're the most amazing finished limb on the market. And like this looks nice. This is the carbon on the Fivix. I don't know if you can see it. This is the finish that Win and Win used to do on their risers. It just looked amazing. Now I'm going to say I've tested limbs. I found very little difference. Although Win and Win have got a new limb out this year. It's going to be $1,500. These limbs are about $900. If it brought me points, I would switch. I just don't know, and so now I'm thinking, well, I've got to try these $1,500 limbs to see if I can buy myself some points. Because if you can buy points instead of training, that's what you want, right? Because no one wants to work for scores. Look, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Would I shoot better than the Argon X? I don't know. I really don't know. I am very happy with the Argon X riser. I think I'd be happy with a lot of the top end risers on the market. But this, I feel there's less vibration. I feel it's quieter. I feel I'm happy with the grip. And I'm going to say with the other Win and Win risers before, the first Win and Win I shot with the multi-tone finish, I didn't like the grip. I just didn't like it. The grip was too chunky, which was one of the reasons I eventually went to an aluminium riser for a narrower grip. But the bow looked amazing. So with that, I'll leave this video here. We'll just go down and have a look at the group. And so my plan is to shoot this riser for a week. And I'll shoot quite a bit with it and see if I shoot scores which exceed what I've done with in the past. Now when you do this, you've got to take into consideration how you're shooting yourself, the weather, light and everything else. You can't go, well look, you've got a pain here, your scores are down, so therefore the bow's bad. That's not the way it works. You've got to go fair's fair. So you're looking for nice weather. We have attacking birds. If we live in Australia, I don't know, probably didn't see it, this bird. We have birds that attack. They literally attack you. And no fear. It doesn't matter how big you are. They just. It's a thing in Australia. Things attack you, and they run. As a child, you have fears of these bears just ramming you in the back of their head with their beak. Probably don't know what I'm talking about unless you're Australian. But if you're Australian, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. And the thing is, if you become friendly with them, then they become like pets because you can hand feed them, but then they'll attack anyone else who enters your property. They used to, in my old property, they used to attack the postman. But for me, I could hand feed them because that was their area and they knew who the locals were. So they wouldn't attack them, but they would attack any intruder in your property. So you'd have these birds attacking. It's yeah, interesting. Anyway, let's go down and have a look. So that's the group. The arrows are pointing backwards. Perfect. The tune, look. So I'm going to say this is enough for me. This is like close distance. Then if I was going to tune further, I'd go back to 10, 20, 30, 40. Probably not back to 40. I'd probably stop at 30, and then I'd do a walk back tune. But look, that's like in the future, a long, long way away. At the moment, all I do is I shoot arrows and see how I feel about the bow. Do I like the bow? Where does it sit in me liking bows? Now, Win has just released a new bow. It's called the Meta LX. I don't know how this is different to the other Meta. This Meta, the Meta Deluxe. I don't know. It looks different, and I don't know. But this has been on the market, I think, for about 5 years, unchanged. And I'm going to say I would have sold a handful of them. So, but it's a beautiful bow. So yeah, I'm going to shoot the bow for about a week. And I'm going to do a video and let you know how I scored with the bow, and whether I'll be changing from my Fivix bow to Win, which has a whole question for me about, then do I get a couple of bows the same, and do I change limbs and stuff like that? But I want to see an improvement. So otherwise, why change? So anyway, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and just remember, the more you shoot, the better you'll shoot. People ask me, what's the difference between this and that? It all gets back to the archer. If you're a good archer, you shoot well, and I'm going to say everything doesn't matter, and people don't want to hear that. But when you're spending money on expensive stuff like this riser, what you're looking for is stuff that's dependable, that's not going to break down, and stuff that's cool. Just, it looks awesome, you love it, and it's very important to love what you have. When I say that, I used to shoot a cheap riser. I didn't love it. It used to vibrate. It felt terrible to shoot, and as a result, I didn't shoot much. With the Argon X I have right now, I shoot it every single day. I have for five years. I've won plenty of stuff with it. I love the bow. It's very important to love the product you have, to encourage you to go out and use it. If you've got a product you're like, I don't like this, like I wouldn't buy a cheaper riser on the marketplace for me, because I wouldn't be inclined to go out and use it. Okay, it'd be like, yeah. But for a beginner, absolutely start with a cheaper bow, and then if you're liking shooting, you'll really love it when you get like one of the fancy risers. You'll be like, oh, this is much nicer. But you don't appreciate it unless you've been through the cheaper risers. And I'm not saying you're going to shoot better. It's just nicer, less vibration. It feels nicer. You're not going to shoot better, or maybe you will, but it'll be a fraction. It's all gets down to good release, good form, good posture, all that sort of stuff. Consistency and practice. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching.